So I am a longtime Redditor and decided to tell you all a story that has only just come to its final conclusion. I have created a secondary Reddit account specifically for this, as I want to protect those that are not a part of the Reddit community and change the names of all involved. Originally posted to Porvenge, but was asked to post it here instead due to the nature of one of the revenge acts. Apologies if there is any spelling or grammar mistakes. Backstory: incoming sadness. My wife Rachel and I grew up in a largish town of close to 30,000 people. We knew each other at an early age, roughly 6 or 7, can't specifically remember. We were practically inseparable. At 16, we started dating each other. When we turned 18, we moved away for work in a city just a few hours' drive away. By 20, we were married and had bought our first house. At 22, we discovered that she was pregnant with a boy. It was then disaster struck. About 5 weeks before she was due to go on maternity leave, a large shelving unit collapsed and crushed her. I was told that both her and our child were killed instantly. 2 of her colleagues had also been injured in the accident, one left paralyzed, the other losing his leg after it had to be amputated. The company she was working for had, in a cost-cutting measure, decided to continue using old shelving that had been written off as unsafe instead of replacing it. I still haven't quite forgiven those executives and management personnel that made that decision, because they cut short the love of my life as well as killing our unborn child. It wasn't long after I was told I had a choice on how to proceed with what her company called compensation, but I called it blood money. They wanted to settle out of court to avoid a lawsuit. I, on the other hand, was out for their blood. Just to clarify here, this is not the revenge, this is still backstory. Fortunately, due to the coverage that it got, and involving several politicians, the case was settled quickly in court, roughly 3 years, in which the payout for all parties was close to 10 times the amount that they had initially offered. A lot of fines were given to them for breaches on work, health and safety. Executives were sacked, others were jailed, etc. A story for another time, maybe, when I feel comfortable sharing. In this time, I was still working my job in telecommunications. My mother, bless her soul, had moved in while all this was happening to help me. I think I would have fallen apart if she hadn't been as involved as she was. It was around this time I was offered a promotion, but it involved a lot of travel around the state. I made a request to have an office in my hometown's branch, as I wanted to not only take care of businesses in the state, but in my hometown also, as there was no business representative located there, to which they agreed. After a few months, we settled into a routine of 1 to 2 weeks in the city office, 1 week in my hometown, and 1 to 2 weeks visiting the rest of the state. After a year, I decided to buy a house in my hometown, so I wasn't having to stay at my parents' place every week, or so that I was home and that I could come and go as I pleased. This is important for later in the story. It is about 4 years later that our story begins. Sorry if the backstory was a bit long. I had just returned from one of my trips on Friday, and was checking in some stuff at my office when Harry, the branch's managing director, walked in. We had grown up together also, but had gone to different schools, but since coming back had developed a very close friendship. He asked how things were, and then asked me if I wanted to come to a house party that he was having that evening. Short notice and all, but I said yes. I felt like a few drinks with friends were in order. It was there that Harry introduced me to Catherine. She was a new hire at the branch where my hometown's office was located and was getting to know everyone, being new in town. We hit it off immediately. As much of a cliche as it sounds, it was almost as if Rachel was in front of me, instead of Catherine. I won't bore you too much with the details, but after 2 years of dating, we decided to take the next step and she moved into my hometown's house. Everything up to this point had been going really well. Catherine and my parents got along, and Rachel's parents also approved and were happy that someone could make me just as happy as Rachel had done. All was going well for close to a year when things began to change. Skype sessions were cut short suddenly. Neighbors would tell me about how a car, described to me like it was Harry's, was always seen parked in the back alley near my house whenever I was away. Some clothes that weren't mine were in my wardrobe. All signs pointed to her cheating, but she said that nothing was happening. She said that Harry would come over occasionally to discuss business, etc., but never stayed the night. I chalked it up to me being paranoid and continued on as if nothing was wrong, but there was always this feeling that something wasn't right. It was close to 6 months after that I discovered that she had been lying to me. I had just finished closing a rather large contract with a new company, and negotiations had wrapped up earlier than I had anticipated. So instead of sticking around for the next few days, I decided to pay for an early flight home and surprise everyone. Fast forward a few hours and I drive into my hometown and down the alley behind my house so that I could get into the house without being seen and surprise Catherine. Some part of me was curious, however, as to whether this mystery car was there. Sure enough, there was a car that was blocking the back entrance gate. I was confused for a moment, wondering if it had just been a neglectful neighbor parking, only to realize that it was indeed Harry's car, if it hadn't been for the high hedge line that I had put in a few years back for privacy. I may have well driven past my own place. Pulling up behind his car, I got out and thought it was strange that he was there so late, as she claimed that he always had left by now. As I approached the back of the house, I saw something that stomach drop. In my kitchen, Catherine and Harry were going at it hammer and tong. I froze. Time stopped. There was my close friend, having sex on my kitchen bench with my girlfriend. I didn't know what to do. So many questions were running through my head. Was this real or was I dreaming? Why were they having sex in my house? Feeling defeated, I turned and left without them seeing me. I sat in my car for what felt like an eternity. I was crying hard, but the sadness quickly turned into anger. The same kind of anger I felt towards those that were responsible for Rachel's death. I wanted to hurt them badly. As a pacifist, I don't believe in violence. It was then I knew I was going to punish them and destroy their lives. And what better time to start than now? I moved my car back up the alley, far enough away from my driveway that I could still see Harry's car, and then walked back to the gate where I could see into the house, and called her phone. They were still going for it when it rang. They both looked at the caller ID and did a double take when my name came up. I could see that she was considering answering it, and they let it ring out. After a few moments they were back into it again, and I dialed once again. This time she did answered. As she was answering, I hung up and made my way back to my car. As soon as I did, she called me back. She asked why I was calling as late as I was, and I told her that I was about 10 minutes from home and didn't want to scare her coming in. She, obviously, was shocked and acted happy that I was coming, and the call ended very quickly after she said she was going to get up and get changed into something. I said bye and hung up. A few moments later, Harry came peeling through the gate and still half naked, jumped into his car, took off like a bat out of hell. I smiled a little, knowing the fear that both of them would be feeling from being so close to being caught. I waited a few moments before turning my car into the same place Harry had been moments earlier. The night was fairly uneventful afterwards, and it wasn't until after she was asleep that I got up and went to my office down the hall. I couldn't sleep. I needed to plan, and plan I did. Hot 32 female, my fiancé 35 male of 11 years cheating. Wedding is in 90 days. We've been engaged almost a year. The wedding is in 90 days. Last weekend, I was in my fiancé's office doing something and I saw a notice flash on his old iPhone. He has since upgraded but keeps old electronics. It was a notice from Plenty of Fish that he had new matches. I panic, freeze, do nothing. Next day he leaves for work and I check the phone. It's not password protected. I have found the following: several secret email accounts he's used to contact women on numerous dating sites. POF. Adult Friend Finder, Ashley Madison, OkCupid, MFW, Craigslist. You get the point. A long text string from an out-of-state number shows a conversation of them meeting in a hotel room, having sex, and he came 4 times and the maintenance people knocked on the door while they were going at it. And how funny it is, and how sorry she feels for him that his frigid girlfriend isn't giving him what he needs. Let's also add to the fun and mention he was unemployed at the time and spending money on a hotel room. I can find smug satisfaction that later on when he is trying to schedule round 2 she turns him down because he was never able to fully satisfy her and she doesn't have time for that. Years upon years worth of email threads and multiple fake email accounts with countless women saying what they will do to each other when they finally meet, and how he can't wait to get a hotel room with them, and how he is glad they are taller than his girlfriend because she is so difficult to physically be with. I'm 5'6", he's 6'3". I am going to lose everything. We've lived together 10 years. I paid all of the deposits for the wedding. No kids, thank God. I took photos of enough of the texts and emails that I have cold, hard proof. I caught him posting online years ago and he lied through his teeth, as I know now, made me believe him that he was only dirty talking online to masturbate to, and gaslighted me that I was the bad person for looking through his computer. He swore he'd stop. Admittedly, I'm not very assertive and have never been able to fully express what I need. Therefore, the sex between us has been pretty bad for the most part, and we're equally at fault. As much as I want to blame him for being selfish and lazy in bed, I am also at fault for not telling him to do better. Could this be salvageable? I am 32, so ready for children that I can't stand it, and I have given this man almost 11 years of my life. Part of me wants to cheat on him so we're even. The other part of me hates him so much I want to move out tonight. Aside from our sex problems, however, our relationship has been good. We are truly best friends. Honestly, typing all of this out was supposed to make me feel better, and now I feel worse. It's his birthday today, so I don't feel right trying to confront him until the time is right. Edit. Thanks to all who have swiftly replied to leave any insight into why the hell he hasn't left me. Edit. I'm hung up on the wedding because it's in Maui, and 28 of our closest relatives have plane tickets and condos paid for, and his parents are my second parents. This is going to be a hugely messy, painful breakup. Edit. Just to ease some minds, he's employed, but wasn't for 2 years through 2011. 2010 is the year I have concrete proof he slept with another. Bank accounts are separate, always have been. probably because he has been concealing purchases he didn't want me to see. I lose the house I've helped pay for because I don't live in a common law state, but I couldn't care less about the house. He was an asshole and bought it without me seeing or approving. Should have been my first red flag because I hate this dump. I only have proof that he slept with someone a single encounter. All the rest are cyber-sexing conversations, but obviously emotional cheating. Aka poor him had to live with someone who gives bad BJS. Fourth edit. Just want to say again how much I appreciate the huge outpouring of support and the tough love some of you have been nice enough to hit me with. I am at home trying to get my head into a little work before an afternoon of meetings. I have my most valuable things packed in a suitcase and ready to toss in my car. I am debating confronting him tonight or wait until tomorrow when he gets off work after I've had another day to shuttle my stuff to my brother's house. I might not be able to act normal tonight anyway. I don't know if I am going to cry or puke at any given moment of the day. My world has ended as I know it, and it hurts so bad because I was finally getting to a good place of feeling normal again after over a year of severe depression. I don't want this to be real. I don't want to lose the him I wanted him to be. I don't want to lose the life we built together despite the foundation of lies it's been built on. I know I will get through this, but I'm so exhausted from so much loss. In the last 2.5 years I lost my maternal grandmother, Mom, my 24-year-old brother-in-law, my dog, and maternal grandfather. This Saturday is 2-year anniversary of my mom's death. He has been a security blanket of comfort. It dawned on me that I become just as big of a lying asshole as he is if I continue to fake that everything is okay just to hold on to a false sense of comfort at home.